I'm Luke McAvoy.
And I'm Tate Morris.
And you're listening to the Traffic Barrel Podcast. Oh, do you think that?
I think you're wrong.
Oh, do you think that?
I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong.
Oh, do you think that? Oh, do you think that? I'm your host, Luke McAvoy.
And I'm Tate Morris.
All right, everybody, welcome to episode 3 of the Traffic Barrel Podcast. Intro music courtesy of our good friend Matthew Diekman. Thank you so much for that. He just made that for fun after the last episode came out, so thanks so much for that. Tate, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. About you?
You know, I'm pretty all right. We're doing a morning record,
Yeah.
which is something we haven't done yet. We always do it in the afternoon, but we have plans. So
Yeah. We're 3 hours ahead of schedule.
we are. We usually we start our records around 2 o'clock generally, but here we are.
Here we are.
11 a.m. on a balmy Saturday
I'm
morning.
supposed to tell them when. No, I'm just kidding.
That makes a big difference.
It does. It's a secret.
It's a secret. You can't know when we're recording this podcast. As far as you're concerned, I mean, the podcast is being recorded when you're watching this. Could be 3 years from now.
Yeah.
But the podcast is happening right now.
We didn't tell you what year it was.
Yeah, well, you
just
don't
have
know
to
what
be
year it is,
confused.
honestly.
I don't think there's any way
Excuse
to
me.
tell based upon what's behind us.
But, yeah, I don't know. It's whatever year you want it to be in your heart. Anyway, so today we're going to be looking at some of our favorite TV shows. We've got our top 5 TV shows written down, and we're just going to kind of talk about those a little bit. But
Yeah, I didn't have any particular order. Did you?
I did,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's, you know,
I'm gonna
If you
I'm
don't-
gonna make one up.
as we're going.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, that's fine.
Do you want to start like at 5?
Yeah, let's
Work
start
your
at
way up?
5. You'll
Okay.
know my number 1, but
Probably. I have a pretty good guess because you've probably seen it. What is it? 11 times now? Is
Maybe.
that- yeah. Okay.
but we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there when we get there.
But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and just dive right into it. So let's ask you first. What's your number 5 gonna be?
Let's ask you first so I can decide.
Super prepared for this episode. My number 5 is the Netflix Daredevil series, actually.
Ooh.
So
I
I
realized you
watched
liked it that much.
Yeah, no. So it's one of those shows that like I've only watched it through one time.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is I watched the whole thing with James, and so that was a big thing that we did for a long time was watch that whole series.
Yeah.
But it's also just like really well written, and the fight scenes are so good.
I have heard the fight scenes are good. I've seen like approximately 2.5 episodes.
Yeah.
Like in 2018.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I lived in Chem at the time.
Oh wow.
I think it was
Wow.
2018.
Okay. Well, yeah, but we watched that whole episode. I mean, there's one fight scene where it's a hallway fight scene, and he's just beating his way through this.
I have heard of the hallway.
This
fight
hallway,
scene.
and it was like a 5 or 10 minute long scene, and we backed the whole thing up and rewatched the whole fight scene in that moment. Like, it was so cool. It was in one of the later seasons, I think, but we had a great time watching that show. Charlie Cox, I think, is an excellent Matt Murdock,
Oh yeah.
which is why I've been super happy to have him like in the little capacity that he's been showing up in the MCU so far.
Yes. Because he was a good cast for that, as
Yeah.
opposed to Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
Excuse me, I have something in my throat. That's why I keep coughing like that.
You should take a drink of your LaCroix.
My Peach
I
Pear
converted
LaCroix.
him. He used to hate it. Now he buys it more than I do.
That's true. I drink it a lot.
Have you seen the Ben Affleck Daredevil?
I don't know that I have. If I have, it's been a
If you've
long,
seen
long,
if
long
you
time.
had seen it, you would know because
Okay.
it would haunt your nightmares.
Okay.
It's that bad. He literally like sleeps in a coffin,
Oh.
like filled with water.
Oh.
Like
That
it's
seems excessive.
it's like it's a sensory deprivation tank. I think is what they're going for.
He's already deprived of his eye sense.
Yeah,
Why does he need to be deprived of the rest of them?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, Ben Affleck probably should have just stayed out of superhero movies because Batfleck wasn't it either.
Oh, I liked Batfleck. I
Really?
thought he did a good job.
He's fine, I guess.
Like, he was supposed to be an older Batman, but I
Right.
thought he did a better job, I thought, than who was the guy who plays Vulture?
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen most of the Batman movies, so I can't really
well,
make a comparison.
I
but-
lived with Mickey Michael Leach, who made me watch a number of movies that I wouldn't have necessarily watched otherwise. And the Michael Keaton Batman movie is one of them.
I see.
And it could just be that I saw him as Vulture first and in other roles. And so, to me, he was a bad guy playing Batman. And
Okay.
it wasn't, as you said, it wasn't it.
Okay, fair enough.
But Affleck, I thought
Fair
was
enough.
pretty good.
You know who wasn't it? Was Robert Pattinson. That was a terrible Batman movie.
Jacob, don't watch this one. Just fast forward, skip it, buddy.
Our friend Jacob and I argue about that movie all the time because I think the Batman that came out in 2022 or 2021, something like that.
Something like that.
I thought it was terrible. I thought it was an awful movie. I thought Robert Pattinson was a terrible Batman and an even worse Bruce Wayne.
I expected him to be terrible, but I actually thought he did pretty well.
They made Bruce Wayne a whiny little baby teenage boy, and that's
They
just
kinda
not
did.
who Bruce Wayne ever was.
Yeah, I don't know if I really liked him as Bruce Wayne, but I thought he was a good Batman. If that makes
I think
sense.
he was fine. The fight scenes weren't very good. The writing was decent.
I was like, he was supposed to be like new to being Batman.
Right.
Like, he's not like at his best. That's why he didn't fight like a major villain. Like, he wasn't
Right.
like going toe to toe with Bane. He like had a fist fight with
Riddler. Yeah.
who was not supposed to be like
Right.
amazing.
He's not necessarily a physical fighter.
I say,
character.
having never read a Batman comic, I know.
Right.
I know what was
I played
in
the Lego Batman games. That's enough for me.
I
I watched a couple Batman animated series as a kid.
You know the first animated Batman I saw?
What was it?
Scooby-Doo meets Batman. Like the 70s one.
Hey, you want to know something? We're talking about Daredevil. We're not talking about Batman.
That's
we
true.
got here because of Affleck.
Well, the thing is, Daredevil is Batman.
He's not far off.
No.
But I think he's cooler because he actually
I
has to.
have always gone back and forth. Daredevil at one point was my absolute favorite superhero. I actually used to have a foot-tall action figure of Daredevil.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
No, did I have it? I don't remember. Let's see. Yeah, I had Daredevil, and I think my brother had Superman. Or I had Daredevil and Superman, and my brother had Flash.
I have no idea. I wasn't there.
You were not there. This was 2002. No, 2003.
I was a year old.
Yeah, you're a little baby.
2 years old, maybe.
He still is. He's a little baby boy.
I'm
Both of my
22.
roommates are. I'm old.
You're old. But
Anyway, the Daredevil
yeah,
show.
I loved Daredevil as a series, and I love the character. Like I said, I think Daredevil's cooler than Batman just because Batman's a dude who got trained by ninjas and his parents died.
Mhm.
Daredevil went through way more crap and can't see and can still fight as good or better than Batman. So I
Yeah.
just think that's cooler. But that's just me. I'm not a huge Batman fan. I never really have been.
I've always liked Batman, but he has like the absolute worst villains.
Yeah.
Like
They're not it.
It's I don't people.
I like what they've
so-
done with Joker at this point, but outside of that,
The thing I don't get about Joker is just like I don't see how it would be that hard. He's captured Joker so many times, and he's like, I think the best thing we could probably do is put him in the same prison we did last time and hope he doesn't escape this time. As
no way
opposed
he
to
could
just,
get out again.
Like, why not put him like in a federal penitentiary, like somewhere outside of Gotham? That just doesn't make sense.
yeah, it's stupid.
It's always all right. Let's put him within an arm's reach of everybody that will get him out of jail.
It's stupid.
Also, Batman captures him. Let somebody else shoot him.
You won't kill him. Just someone else could.
That was the plot of the.
Hand the gun to Robin.
That's essentially what happened in the first Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at the very end, he's like, "I won't kill you, but I won't save you either," and then basically threw him off a cliff, or caused the guy to fall off the cliff. But
Oh.
he's the one that essentially, like, made him die.
Yeah.
He killed him realistically,
yeah.
but he's like, "I won't kill you, but I won't save you either.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you should have done that with Joker, because like he literally like saved Joker.
Right.
Joker was hanging off a cliff.
Right.
And like
Stupid.
he's up at the top of a building.
He's got to keep. How will there be more
cliff,
episodes
but-
of Tom and Jerry if Joker goes to jail? Get it? Because they're just constantly playing cat and mouse. They'd have nothing to do if one of them was gone.
I understand.
The two of them would have nothing to do if one of the two of them was gone.
That's true.
It's the only reason Joker keeps getting out. Anyway, I love the Daredevil series.
Yeah.
That's not my number 5. Have you made a decision yet?
You know, I forgot that I was going to do that, but I will make one right now.
Do it.
And we're going to go with the classic 1960s series F Troop,
Okay.
which I don't know if you know anything about.
Not
It
even
only
a
ran
little
for
bit.
2 seasons. All right, so F Troop is a show that probably couldn't be made today.
Oh, good.
Because it circles around a I think it's post Civil War America. It's a comedy about like the worst troop in the U.S. Army. It's F Troop. They're at Fort Courage. Their captain gets promoted there to be the captain there because he accidentally leads a charge when his army was retreating. He was like a private or something. He accidentally sneezed and it sounded like charge, caused everybody to turn around and just overtake the enemy, which was, as they call them, Indians, just a bunch of Indians. And
Okay.
they overturned them and won the battle. And so they're like, well, we're going to make you captain. And they put him, because he's so clumsy. He's a well-meaning, well-intentioned guy that knows all of the rules of the army, like inside and out, but he's so clumsy, he's basically inadequate at existing as a human. And so
Okay.
they put him in charge of the worst fort because they want to reward him, but they can't put him in charge of anything important.
Right.
And they have like this whole cast of characters where the guy in the lookout tower, he is blind as a bat.
Okay.
He literally can't tell the difference between anybody in their group, sometimes when they're 2 feet in front of his face. But they put him in the lookout tower, which they shoot down in almost every single episode with their own cannon.
Oh,
The
Smart guys.
Sergeant O'Rourke and Corporal Agarn are 2 of the main characters. They're like they're sketchy in terms of like they have secret business dealings that the army doesn't allow. Like Sergeant O'Rourke owns the saloon in town. And sells alcohol. He has the Indians make it. The local Indians call the Hekawis. And there's a whole joke about how they got their name. The whole tribe got lost and fell off a cliff. And the medicine man stood up and said, "Where the heck are we?"
Oh my gosh.
Yep, that's how they got
That's
their
the
name.
bit.
That's the bit. The show ran for 2 seasons. It is one of my all-time favorite comedies because it's just absolutely absurd, but it's hilarious. It has like some of the biggest actors of that time just came and did cameos. Like you just had a ton. Everybody that was somebody just showed up in this show,
Nice.
and a whole bunch of the characters were in a whole bunch of other shows too. Like they were in Dick Van Dyke's show. They were in Andy Griffith's show. They were in the biggest movies of the time. They were in Columbo with Dick Van Dyke. That's one thing I thought.
Oh,
the guy who
that's
plays
great.
Corporal Agarn was in the episode of Columbo where Dick Van Dyke is the murderer. And it was like years later. Like they were both
Yeah.
older than they were in that show. But it's just it's a classic comedy that's absurd in all of the best ways.
That's
And it probably couldn't be made today simply because they would probably consider it racist in that they call them Indians instead of Native Americans. But reality is most of the time they're friends. They're friendly with the Indians.
Right.
Like that's the point, is that this fort like just makes good efforts with all the Indians, and they
Right.
get recognized multiple times throughout the show.
Fair enough.
It's great.
Nice. All right. Moving
Number
on
4.
to the number 4s. My number 4 is Only Murders in the Building. This is a Hulu original with Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Selena Gomez. Started, I think, 2021 was the first season.
Sounds about right. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
what is Only Murders in the Building about? Because that's like by the title, to me it implies that the only thing that happens in that building is murders, or it's like we're only concerned with murders in the building. Is that like the bit?
Well, kind of. So the thing about the show, so you've got the three main characters who are Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, which
Right.
Steve Martin and Martin Short have done things together for years, and then they're just like, what if we got Selena Gomez on this show?
Yeah.
But it works so well. So the basic premise of the show is they all live in the same apartment building. It's a really nice apartment building in New York City, and a murder happens, and all three of them like end up meeting each other and bonding over the fact that they all like the same like true crime podcast.
Okay.
And so what happens is Selena Gomez's character ends up, especially in the first season, like ends up kind of tied in with the person who was murdered. And so they all like start investigating it together, and they start a podcast called Only Murders in the Building because they only like they're live documenting their investigations of the murders that happen in the building.
Yeah.
Um,
They're not concerned with other murders. They're just specifically
ones that are in the
how
building.
many murders are happening in this building?
Approximately 3, because that's
Okay.
how many seasons there've been.
Okay, there's just a different murder every season.
Yes, but the way they do it with the story, it's not tropey.
No. I was just like, oh, there's a new one every season. I thought they were like still trying to solve the other one.
No.
There's just a new one that
No.
happens.
I
Oh,
think
goodness.
I don't remember exactly what happened in the
Those
second
poor
season.
people.
I remember the first season and the third season really well. The third season had Meryl Streep as like a important side character,
Mm-hmm.
which was great because
Yeah.
Meryl Streep's a legend.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that show
She was in Red.
was she?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think so.
Anyway, but
Maybe
that
I'll look it up.
that show is really well written, just from a like murder mystery show perspective.
Yeah, which I love those.
They unfold the story throughout the season really, really well, and like it kept me engaged throughout the entire series. I was always waiting for the next episode because after a while I caught up and I was like, I have to wait every week for the episodes now.
Oh, I was
but-
thinking of Helen Mirren.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, but I always am really excited when they're making more of that show because the murder mystery stuff's really well written. I think the comedy is well done because when you have Steve Martin and Martin Short in a show, it's not going to be funny. Like, it's just not possible. Because
Speaking of Steve Martin, have you ever seen an old movie of his? I think it was from the 90s. It's called Rent a Kid.
No.
He hires. I can't remember the premise of it. I used to watch this a lot. We had a VHS copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
My siblings and I would watch it. Rent a Kid had Steve Martin in it, and the premise was like there were like these orphans
Mm-hmm.
that this guy needed to look like he had kids for a job or something to
Right.
be able to get into this big job that he wanted. So he hired the orphans to be his kids.
Oh, that's funny.
It was just like, of course, hilarity ensues, and then eventually
right.
he decides he actually does love these kids, and he
Aw,
adopts them.
That's adorable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember like anything else about that movie. I just that popped into my head. It was that and Cheaper by the Dozen.
Oh, yeah. That one I think I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so in this show, like, Martin Short is playing this really, like, extravagant, flamboyant Broadway director, or at least attempting to be Broadway director, who's been, like...
So Martin Short.
yeah, he's playing
character.
himself, but it's really good.
Yeah.
Steve Martin is a former TV show actor who thinks he's more famous than he is.
So he's playing Steve Martin.
And Selena Gomez, her character...
Is she playing a former child star?
No, she's
that
not.
went into music.
No, she's... I think she's actually an artist in this show, if I remember right.
Oh, okay.
But she's like...
That would be funny.
They make a whole bit about the fact that she's like way younger than them, and it's really funny. But
Mm.
I love that show. It's one of the
We should
one
watch
of my
it
favorite shows I've
sometime.
ever watched. We should. How about you? Number 4.
Number 4, I'm gonna have to go with MythBusters.
Ooh, MythBusters. Okay.
That show was like formative to my childhood years. I used to stay up real late with my brother John Mark, and we would always be like the last people up in the house. I remember this pretty clear. It was up till like 2014, I think, when we moved. down in Merrill. We would stay up late, sometimes till like 2 a.m, just like binge watching episodes of MythBusters on Netflix. I remember the first time I saw MythBusters was on an iPod.
Like an iPod Touch?
Like a big iPod. It was like the ones that was like this big and this wide.
Oh.
That it was my dad's iPod. He needed one, like he just wanted a bunch of music. It was like the newest one at the time. It had the most space on it. And he downloaded like just a bunch of shows that were on iTunes. And one of the things he downloaded was an Alaska special for MythBusters. And I think that was the first MythBusters episode I ever saw, was the Alaska special. And I think he downloaded it because he wanted to see what happens when you hit a moose with a car. Because it's my dad. And
that's funny.
My parents love moose. Like half our house is literally moose decor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even kidding. It would be the whole house if half of our house wasn't my grandma's house now.
Wow.
The rest of the house would just be moose decor. We
got
have a shelf of moose.
We've got a moose right
We
up
do.
here. You
We
can't
have
see it in
Murphy,
frame,
which
but
ironically is the name of the bobblehead moose that sat on the dash of our car
oh really?
for like 10 years.
That's great.
His name was Murphy.
That's great.
Because of course his name is Murphy.
Right.
Murphy the Moose.
Murphy the Moose.
But anyway, so I saw MythBusters on that iPod, and then I have distinct memory of watching it at my grandma Janie's house because she had cable and we never did. I was like, oh, this is the show with the thing with the moose, so we watched that. And then I also have memory of watching it in Canada. We went on vacation in Canada, and we were scrolling through the channels on the hotel room. All of the channels, we see MythBusters. It's an
Sick.
episode we've seen before, but we still watch it. And then we watch it again, and another episode,
There you
another
go.
episode, until my mom made me turn off the TV. Mother. I remember
the
we're
heck?
we're
Tate's
gonna
mom.
stay up real late, even though we're getting up early and going all over the city tomorrow. I'm gonna stay up watching MythBusters. And
Why not?
it's just such a good show because it starts out like really rough, and it's just Adam and Jamie, and they kind of don't really like each other, but they work well together.
Yep.
And that shows more in the first seasons because I think they kind of like they did a better job of hiding that later on.
Right. Yeah.
But then show really came into being when they added Cary Grant and Tori, and rest in peace.
There's a comma
Grant,
between
Grant
Carrie and
Imahara.
Grant. For a second,
I know, but
thought
that's
you
how
meant,
they always said it.
for a
They always
second-
said Cary Grant and Tori.
I thought you meant like Cary Grant for a second. I'm like, what?
They should have had him on the show because like every single time, literally the like in the intro, the episode, it's like the MythBusters it's like Jamie Heineman and Adam Savage, and it's like Cary Grant and Tori,
That's funny.
and they just
They
did
should
it
have
every time.
rearranged those.
They should have, but I think they did it on
They
purpose.
probably did it on purpose.
Because the show is like it's a mix of science and absolute nonsense.
Yeah, that's the whole bit.
That's the whole show, and it's great.
Yep.
They literally made a lead balloon
Yep.
and then blew it up. They literally just said, okay, so this dynamite thing for the cement, loosening cement, doesn't work. But what we're going to do is we're going to blow up the entire truck.
Because why not?
And the moment they did that, they made television history
Yep.
and reserved a place in my heart.
See, with MythBusters, I didn't watch a lot of it as a kid. I watched some
Shame
episodes
on
once
you.
in a while. It's not my fault. My Adam Savage
Shame.
drove my mom up a wall. My mom could not stand Adam Savage.
I don't think
in
my mom could
MythBusters.
either.
Yeah. So I almost never watched MythBusters.
Mm-hmm.
She would watch it with me once in a while. We'd like watch it while we ate lunch or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
like very rarely because Adam Savage drove her up a wall.
Mm.
I love him on YouTube now. Like
Yeah,
I watch him a good bit,
that's the
and I
thing.
saw him speak at Comic-Con in 2023.
And I love like all of the hosts.
Right.
Like I would still watch like anything that Jamie was in, Jamie Heineman. He last time I checked, he was teaching like some sort of like engineering course in like
I can
Finland or
see that.
Norway.
That seems
he
like a
moved
Jamie
over
Hyneman thing
there
to do.
and started teaching stuff there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Adam Savage, I literally watched a 40-minute YouTube video of him making a poker table. I don't even play poker.
But it's just entertaining to watch because it's Adam
Savage.
Savage.
Because it's Adam Savage. It was entertaining.
He's entertaining and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And so that was like the big draw for me was they all know what they're doing and they find really clever ways to do things.
Yep.
But also they're willing to do incredibly stupid and dangerous things.
Because it's funny and it's cool and people will watch it.
And it's cool and it's educational. And like they're one of the reasons that I like got interested in history. Because they're always to like historical myths and stuff.
Yeah.
They're one of the reasons that I like got into science for a while and engineering. It's just great.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
So solid show.
Yeah. So up to number 3.
Number 3.
My number 3 is like 1.5 shows. Because it is Clone Wars and Bad Batch. Because I kind of see Bad Batch as a continuation of Clone Wars.
Yeah, I can see that. I'll allow it.
Yeah, it's the same animation.
The judges will allow it.
They were introduced as characters in the last season of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So I put that in there. But Clone Wars, man, it's been going around. It's been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I would watch it as a kid just because I'm like, ooh, Star Wars. Loved it. I would watch it. I would record it on DVR back in the day.
You watched it when?
We're not doing this.
I don't know. I probably should.
I was like 12, 13, actually even younger than that. I would record it on DVR because that's where we were at.
Mm-hmm.
And watch the episodes and absolutely loved the show.
Yeah.
Started watching, and then I never stopped watching it. I watched the entire series. So good. The first couple seasons are like they didn't really. They were fine. They weren't really settled into what the
like,
yeah.
The third season, I think, is when it became like a good show.
Yeah.
Because before that, I still haven't seen like the entire show, and part of that is because I hated the Clone Wars movie.
That's because it was bad.
And I really hated just everything I saw for the first couple of seasons. But my little brother loved it, and so it was still always on. But then it was like in the third season, I was like, oh, this is the writing's better. The characters, the animation's better.
Yeah,
the characters are more interesting. Ahsoka doesn't make me want to claw my ears out.
Yep.
It was great.
Yeah, and I think season 3 is where it really started getting good. Season 4 through 7 are like some of my favorite Star Wars content that exists, if not my favorite.
Yeah.
Because season 4, that's when they were bringing back Darth
Maul.
Maul.
You just must not have seen Rogue One.
I mean, Rogue One's good. Like it's the best thing. It's the best movie that Disney has made.
It's
the best Star Wars movie Disney has made. But
of all the ones,
it's just not. But Clone Wars, yeah, like 4 through 7 were like just great. 7,
yeah.
The great thing about season 7 is like the crossovers with, running straight into episode 3, showing you other stuff that was going on while everything was going on with Anakin, and man, the last few episodes of season 7 especially.
Yeah,
were just great.
I have like extremely mixed feelings about season 7, because it was the last one, I wanted it to be longer.
Fair.
Obviously the last 4, fantastic.
Yeah.
Middle 4, they were pretty good. They introduced a Bad Batch, which I really like now.
The Bad Batch intros,
but the
fine.
First 4 episodes
with just Ahsoka with those 2 random people that don't matter to the rest of the series.
I was so bored. I was like, oh my.
Those ones were
Disney already ruined the Clone Wars.
In
less than 2 hours.
That's not really on Disney. Because it was the same leadership, same creative team.
Yeah, but that was when it showed up. It was a Disney Plus show.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, this is bad. There was nothing interesting about it.
No.
It just felt like they're like, all right, we need to have a couple episodes of girl power.
That's kind of what it was.
As if that's not what Ahsoka is.
Yeah. But
like, Ahsoka's a strong lead character.
Yeah.
You could just have her as the main character.
Oh my goodness, especially in like season 5.
Yeah. People would watch a whole show about Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And they have.
And they did. And honestly, it was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
I liked the Ahsoka series.
I didn't think I was going to because I didn't really like her in Mandalorian.
Yeah, I think I think she really settled into the character when it came to the Ahsoka series.
Mhm.
It felt a little bit more like Ahsoka from the Clone Wars
Yeah.
than she did when it was just popping up in Mando.
Yeah, because Mandalorian felt like a different character, even than the bit that I saw in Rebels. Like, she felt different than that Ahsoka.
Yeah, and even in Rebels, like, she's still Ahsoka.
Yeah,
but you can
she's
tell
like,
she's been through some stuff.
Yeah.
Which
And
she
then-
has, because if like I was saying, the end of like season 5 of Clone Wars is when, she gets framed for an explosion at the Jedi Temple
Yeah.
and
Framed for
expelled from the
terrorism.
Order, or expelled, and then they're like, wait, we messed up, our bad, and then she's like, well, now I don't trust you, and then just leaves.
Yep.
And
Understandable.
that really is like a defining moment for Ahsoka's character arc, which
Yeah.
I'm glad her arc kind of continued. And bringing her back in the last season and
was
giving her the blue
so
lightsabers, like that was so cool.
But
That was so
the
cool.
best part of that was the fight scene with her and Maul.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the fight scene between Ahsoka and Darth Maul in season 7, honestly one of my favorite, if not my favorite, lightsaber battles in all of Star Wars everything. Especially because it's all done with motion capture. Like, they didn't animate that, they just motion capped it and then animated over that. Like, it was so sick. They got Ray Park to come back and do them all.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it was so cool. And it's even cooler when you find out people actually choreographed the whole thing.
Yeah, I've seen footage of them like doing the actual fight.
Yeah,
in the
me too.
mocap, and that really impressed me because a lot of Clone Wars, that was the thing I didn't like in the first couple seasons. I was like, it kind of looks cool, but like they can't move like that. Real people can't, even if like you're
Right.
having the Force. I'm like, they don't bend that way. But then later on, it became less cartoony.
Yeah, they got a lot better with their fight scene animation
Yeah,
throughout
it
the
became
series.
less. That's the thing. We've talked about this before, where I would still classify Clone Wars as a kid show, for the most part, but definitely less so as the show goes on.
Yeah.
The first couple seasons are weirdly the most like a kid show, but those are the
Right.
only seasons that swear.
Which is funny. Even though there's like 2 in the whole
Right,
like
but it's like it's unexpected because it's like this is
Yeah.
Cartoon Network. It was still rated like TVY7.
Yep.
They're killing
Yep.
people constantly.
Yeah.
Shooting and stabbing them, sometimes decapitating them, and they swear. They're like young 7-year-olds.
And they're not like dropping F-bombs or anything
No,
like that,
no.
but like there's like a
Are
couple
you
in
kidding?
there.
We wouldn't know what the Clone Wars
No.
was if they were. My
For
brother would
sure
have been
not.
like my mom would be like, "No, you're not allowed to watch TV anymore."
Not any of it.
Nope. Go read a book. You want to watch Star Wars? Go read a book about
Yeah.
it.
Yep. But then you get into Bad Batch, and Bad Batch, like we said, they introduced them in season 7. I wasn't a huge fan, of them in season 7, but I was glad when they rescued Echo because Echo was a awesome character that they never confirmed to be dead. So I was glad. A lot of people loved Echo, so I was happy when he came back. And then the Bad Batch series.
I didn't see enough of the show to care about Echo at all.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
literally, I saw the episode because my brother showed it to me when he was like kidnapped or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, oh no, a clone trooper might have died. Never seen that before.
Yeah,
But now I understand he's
Yeah.
like an important.
he's
character.
like a character that he's one of the clones that they got people at least a little bit attached to.
right.
And Bad Batch, I think, does really well with they introduced these characters, the Bad Batch, and making you get invested in these characters and like these characters.
Yeah.
And then their whole arc watching, because you've got
No
Crosshair.
spoilers, I haven't
and-
seen it.
Yeah, you haven't seen season 3 yet, but I don't know. I ended up really enjoying Bad Batch, even though I wasn't necessarily expecting to. So yeah, Clone Wars, Bad Batch, kind of combo. That's my number 3. What about you?
My number 3 is kind of funny because I was watching it earlier, which is Expedition Unknown. I love
Nice.
that show. It's great. You've got history. It's funny. It's a travel show. For those of you who don't know, Expedition Unknown started on it started on the Travel Channel. And then it got too big for Traffic Channel. So, what is it? What's the channel? Discovery Channel bought it. And it's this guy, Josh Gates, who in college he studied. It was a real show. It's a Discovery. It's a reality show.
An actual reality show, not a stupid reality show that's not really real.
Yes. He went to college to study archaeology, but he went to school in California. He's like, well, I don't know if I can make money that way, so I'll also get a degree in like performance to be an actor because that's what you do in Hollywood. He's like, that way I can pay the bills, but also like do what I want. And after
notorious job for paying the bills, acting.
Yes. Well, and he actually did that for a couple years,
right?
And then he was like, I don't really like this. I'm gonna stop acting. And then a friend of his was like, hey, do you want to like climb the tallest mountain in Africa with me? He's like, what? We're like, yeah. So we'll like buy the tickets now, and in 18 months we have 18 months to train, and we're gonna go climb it. And he's like, yes. So he just started working out, dropped like 40 pounds, put on muscle, and they did a bunch of training for it. They went and climbed the mountain, and then when he got back, the producer that he had met a couple times for acting jobs was like, hey, where are you right now? He's like, I'm in Africa. He goes, great. When you get home, don't even shower. Just come straight to my office. You have an interview for a job. And he showed up all sweaty, covered in dirt and stuff because he was applying for a job in the show called Destination Truth, which was him supposed to be someone going across the globe looking for things like the Chupacabra and Bigfoot. And he doesn't really like believe in most of those things, but that was the point, was have somebody who's like a skeptic go and look for these things and talk to people that have claimed to have seen them. And that turned into him getting a job. Since he had a degree in archaeology, that turned into him going across the world looking for historical artifacts and then making like a similar show about it. And that's what became Expedition Unknown. And so you have Josh Gates, who is an archaeologist, but also because he's an actor, he's a good showman. And so he's entertaining to watch. He's usually pretty funny. But he'll go across the world. He'll look for lost biblical artifacts, missing cities. And the fun thing is they actually find a number of things. Like they found bits of treasure. They've actually found things from the... Oh, what is that called? I literally have the book, and I can't think of what it's called.
The what?
It's all right. There's a book that a guy wrote back in like the 80s, I think, that led to hidden treasures across America that had like these caches that he hid the clues in paintings and poems across America. 10 or 12 different clay boxes that have precious gems inside. Or it has a key inside, and you turn that into his estate and get a precious gem. And the guy died before anybody found any of them. So his estate took it on. And so people are still looking for them. Only 3 of them have been found. And Expedition Unknown actually found one of them. And they document it. They actually have, I think, 4 episodes about it. Because they made an episode about it. And then years later, they got like a clue that somebody was close to finding one. And so they went, and some guy did find one. They found like the second one. And so they went and they documented that. And then they got a clue that someone was looking for another one, and they might have an idea for it. They went and looked for it, and they're like, nope, it's not there. Then somebody contacted Josh via email and said, listen, I think I found where it's supposed to be, but I can't get access to it, and I think you guys can. So he teamed up with the show, got the funding, and then they went and they got permission from the city, I think it was Boston. They went to go dig up this site, and they found the actual, I think it's called a cask. It's like CASQUE. And they actually found the treasure for it, and then went to his estate and got the precious gem. And so it's a show about looking for things that actually, but they actually finding but never actually finding Bigfoot.
Right. Which is somehow a show that's still running.
No, it's over now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they just
good.
do like a special every couple of years
Gotcha.
now.
Okay.
2 hour
special. We
Yes,
still
they-
haven't found Bigfoot.
Yep, they still do it.
Still trying to find Bigfoot.
But I love Expedition Unknown because you get history. They do like reenactments. They actually find things, but it's also funny. It's educational. And I would that's like a dream job. You get to go. You get paid to travel across the world, and like look for treasure. It's
Yeah.
like that sounds like
That'd
fun,
be sick.
as opposed to like I don't know, like
Looking through the woods for a Sasquatch you're never gonna find.
looking through the woods for a Sasquatch, or well, actually, I wouldn't mind running around the woods though, because that would be kind of nice.
I know.
I'd enjoy that.
I know.
As opposed to a desk job though, that's great.
Yeah. Fair
and
enough.
he has good fashion sense. He has a shamag
Okay.
and a hat.
That's well.
It's great.
Okay. Number 2.
What's your number 2, buddy?
My number 2 is Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one. See, we've now gotten to one where I have also seen every episode.
Right. So Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I have watched that series all the way through, I think 3 times. At least 2, I think 3. I absolutely love that series. I think it's really well written and it's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate comedy shows that need laugh tracks in order for people to find them funny. Friends. But I'm really which is why I like shows like that and The Office and stuff that like don't have to have like they're still funny because they're funny, not because you hear other people laughing at them on the screen. And
He feels very strongly about this.
I do. But I really enjoy Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You get really into the characters. You watch the characters grow throughout all of those seasons. And yeah, I think it's just a really well written show,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a really funny show. And I think the casting for it was really good. I don't really have a whole lot else to say about it. It's become a comfort show for me. I kind of just I have all of these shows on my list, but realistically, I watch the same like 3 series over and over again, and I have for the last 7 years or so.
We'll specifically get to that point.
Yeah,
at
seriously.
number 1.
Yep.
But yeah, Nine-Nine, it was a show that I don't think I ever thought I would watch. You guys had talked about it. You, Jacob, I think James and Matthew had all talked about it and how you liked it. And I was like, I'm just not really interested. But then Jacob watched the episode where it's just Jake and Holt interrogating this guy. It's the entire episode.
Oh, yeah.
He just watched that, and I was eating. I don't remember. I had lunch. It was in the room at the same time, and I could not stop laughing. I was like, the writing's fantastic. It's so randomly entertaining because he'll pick up a guitar and just scream
Yep.
at the guy.
It's one of the most famous bits from that show.
Apparently wasn't the first time he's tried this.
No, he does it at least twice throughout the series.
Yeah. And
Because they bring back the bit in like one of the last couple seasons.
It starts out kind of slow, but then hits its stride like after like 6 episodes or so.
It's
just consistently good for the rest of the show.
Yeah, it settles
Mostly.
in a lot faster than Mike Schur's other shows.
Yeah.
I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine's a Mike Schur show. Maybe I'm crazy.
I think so.
Maybe it's not.
It might be.
I'm probably
But
crazy.
Either way, I've come to like that better than like The Office. I like it's kind of funny, but like there are a lot of shows that I like more than that, including what I'm pretty sure we're about to talk about when we get to number 1 for you. Like I'm 99.9999% plus 12 positive that's what you're going to talk about. Did he write it?
It is a Mike Schur show. Yes.
Yeah, it's a Mike Schur show.
Yeah.
And The Good
The
Place.
Office, Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Good Place.
Yeah.
Good Place didn't make it on my list, but I do really enjoy that show.
9-9 is my favorite one of all of those. It's
my second favorite.
I will watch
for
that. Is that why it's number 2? Is that why?
It is my second favorite series.
Is that-
It's also my second favorite Mike Schur show.
I know, which is funny.
And the
because-
first one is not going to be what people probably want it to be. So
No, but it is exactly what I think it's going to be.
yeah. Anyway,
And it's funny that both of them are Michael Schur shows.
I've pretty much
your top 2s.
yeah, I know.
But man, yeah, 9-9 is just good.
Yeah,
It's
a really
funny,
good show.
It's good characters. And Boyle.
And Boyle. I love Boyle.
I
You gotta love Boyle.
I sometimes I love him, and other times I'm like, oh,
Charles.
why did they have to make him say that?
Yeah, that's the point
Oh.
of his character.
I know it is, and sometimes it's hilarious, and other times I'm like,
Yep.
oh, go
Yeah,
do something else for the rest of the episode,
just
or
go
at least
away.
leave this scene. I want to listen to
Yep.
Jake and
Yep.
Holt because they're funny.
Oh yeah.
I love Captain Holt. Oh, he's funny.
R.I.P. Andre Bauer.
That is sad.
So sad. It was like late last year, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, good show, great characters.
Yep.
What is number 2 for you?
Well, it's kind of funny because it's not a comedy, but it is also law enforcement. It's NCIS.
You do love NCIS.
I love that show. NCIS was the first like adult show that I ever
like grown up show.
yeah, the first show that I ever like really liked. Like I remember watching Sue Thomas FBI. Do you know what that is?
Excuse me. No, I don't.
Sue Thomas FBI was I don't know how long it ran, but it was a show back in the day about a deaf FBI agent.
Okay.
They brought her in, and she could do rip readings over cameras and stuff, try to help him solve the crimes. And that was like the first crime show that I ever saw.
Right.
But it was like a family event. We all watched it, and it is relatively tame. It's like a PG show.
Right.
It's not like TV 14 or anything.
Yeah.
It's like it's meant for the whole family to watch. But then it was in season 6, I believe, that my family just like one Tuesday night was like, we're just started watching this show called NCIS, and it's about this somewhat older former Marine who leads the government agent or leads this team of NCIS agents that investigate crime related to the Navy. And I was like, okay, this is cool. It's got like mystery. The cast has like fantastic chemistry. Like back in like the A team of the cast, you had Ziva, Tony, DiNozzo, McGee, Abby, Ducky, Palmer, and Gibbs. That was like the heyday of that. Seasons 5 through like 9 are just like, I keep hitting that. It was during that
Punching the
span of
microphone.
years, it was literally the most watched show like on the planet.
Right.
And it was just, that's because the writing was so good, the actors had fantastic chemistry, and had interesting storylines, because it's not like a standard cop procedural where everything is just, all right, what's the murder of the week? You know, they dealt with terrorism, they dealt with, they have international travel
Yeah.
episodes. It's not like, all right, we are literally only doing crime in Brooklyn or Chicago or Miami.
They just cover whatever.
They're like literally, it's global. They go to Israel, they go to Asia, they go Europe, all over the place. It's great. So you just have like this nice mix of comedy, mystery, drama. They have like they go really in depth into the characters, and they're just like, just during those span of years, it was great. I would. There's nothing else I'd rather watch. The reason it's not number 1 is because seasons 1 through 4 exist, and
That bad, huh?
anything after 9 exists. Like, I still like the show, but it's not the same as like that peak.
Right.
It'd be like, pretty much any show, if you get used to like the main cast, and then they have somebody switch out because like the actor moves on or something, you're like, it's still the same show,
But
it
it's
doesn't
not.
feel
It's not
like it,
quite as good.
and so it just
usually.
doesn't have the same charm anymore. And
It's like the
so
Office
because
after Michael left.
I haven't gotten that far,
Gosh, how
but-
did we not finish that?
well, because we didn't have Peacock for a while.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then we got it back.
Finish that after you rewatch.
and we
Community.
started watching 9/9, which
Yeah.
I liked infinitely more.
Right after you finish Community, you should finish up that show though.
Well, we haven't even finished The Good Place.
Oh
we're
yeah,
we're
we should do
literally
that
in the
too.
middle of that show.
Yeah. Okay.
we haven't watched
have
it in
two
a
series
month
we
and
need
a
to
half.
finish up. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just I love specifically Gibbs and McGee. Those are like some of my favorite television characters, and DiNozzo, honestly, and Ziva, and Abby.
You just like the characters of the show?
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
Nice. So, what might possibly be your number one, Mr. Lucas?
So, if you've ever met me in your entire life, okay, not your entire life, but since like 2017,
If you've ever heard him speak.
yeah, you'll know that I absolutely love Parks and Recreation. My number one favorite show of all time. I have a copy of the book that Leslie Knope writes in the show.
Sure do.
I have a bunch of Funko Pops. I have stickers. I have a couple other things that I can't even think about. Oh, one of my guitar cases has an I Met Lil Sebastian sticker on it.
It does?
Yeah.
How have I not known that?
It's the acoustic case that I don't pull out very much because it's for my
Okay.
Yamaha that I don't play hardly ever.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not for the Taylor.
No. But yeah, I absolutely love Parks and Rec. My absolute favorite show ever. I'm on my 11th run through of the series, and the first time I watched it was in 2017. It's 2024. I know earlier I said it can be whatever year it is in your heart, but for us, in our hearts, it's 2024. So in 7 years...
In our hearts, not just in reality.
Yeah, in our hearts, it's 2024. So in 7 years, about 10 and a half times through is how many times I've watched Parks and Rec. Because it's my comfort show, but I also think it's well written. I love all of the characters in that series.
All of them?
Yes. I mean, because they
them?
all are important to the feel of the show.
Even like what do they call him? Dirty Joe?
Sewage Joe.
Sewage Joe?
You know,
You love Sewage
I
Joe?
wouldn't. I don't know.
Would you be Sewage Joe's best friend?
No, that's a complicated question because I love because every character that shows up in that show, even as a side character, is important to the feel of the show.
Yeah.
So I love that they're there,
Because it's like this.
even if they're supposed to be a character that everyone hates.
Somehow every character that is in that show makes sense for the way that town exists.
100%, and they do it so well. It's kind of similar to like The Officer, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, in that it takes a minute to settle into itself. Like the first season is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The
Seasons
characters
1
in
and
the
2 are
first,
golden.
well, I like season. They're still good, but season 1,
Season 2 is good.
season 2 is where like
Partially.
feels like, especially for like Ron, feels like a different character than season 1.
Yeah.
Like
Leslie
feel like
too, I think.
Yeah, I think at least a little bit. Yeah, season 2 versions of the characters feel like a different character from season 1 versions, but that's when they really settle into themselves and the writing of those characters and the portrayal of those characters.
Yeah.
But I love everything about that series. Chris
I
Pratt in that show.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, Andy Dwyer is him and Ben Wyatt are my two favorite characters in that show. I think I love them, but yeah, it's a show I will probably never stop rewatching.
As you should.
Because I love it.
Yeah,
love it.
and I absolutely love it too, and I almost put it on my list, but I was like, I think there are shows that I might like more just for like nostalgia, but also I knew for a fact that it was going to be on your list. I assumed it would be number one.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't see that show until after I met you. You
Right.
talked about liking it, and it was like on sale the entire series for like $20 at Walmart, and I'm like, you know what? I'll try it out. I watched pretty much the entire series on my teeny tiny portable DVD
I
player
remember
from
that.
like 2002.
I remember that.
Watching it on the big screen is fantastic, but I have seen the show 1 3/4 through. I watched it all the way through. Absolutely love the show. Then later on, I was like, okay, no, 1.5 times. Because
Okay.
the second time I watched it, I started like at the end of season 2,
Okay.
when I think it gets good.
Fair.
Um,
Because I mean that's when you get Ben and Chris.
yeah,
And
I
all
think I
that stuff.
started at the Hunting Lodge episode.
I think it's a little
That's in
earlier in
season
season
2.
2. Yeah.
But I started. It's like halfway through, I believe.
Yeah.
So I
something
started
like that.
there and watched all the way through season 6, I think.
Yeah.
And then I just got distracted. I don't remember what happened, but I like just didn't have the time
Right.
to watch it anymore. So I've seen it through like 1.5 times, approximately. But I will never. If anybody ever says hey, do you want to watch Parks and Rec? I'm like, well, yeah, I want to watch Parks and Rec.
Right.
Ron
right.
Swanson's in it.
Yeah.
And he's hilarious.
Yep.
It's like I don't even believe most of what he believes, but the way that he says it, I agree.
Yeah.
It's
Fair enough.
listen, child labor laws are ruining this country.
Like, you don't think that, but the way he says it.
The way he says it, I want
it's
to.
like, yeah. Yep.
It's just I love that character. I
yeah.
love most of the characters. Like you say you love all of them.
I think
There's
so.
What's his name? He's only in the first and second seasons.
Mark.
I hate him.
I don't hate Mark.
I hate Mark almost as much as I hate Omega in the Bad Batch. I hate both of those
Why?
characters.
Mark was fine.
No, he was so boring, and he didn't contribute anything to the show. The only time I cared for 1 second was like when he said goodbye, because I was like, oh, he's nice to Leslie. Good job.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time, I'm like, eh.
I would have been interested to see what
Don't
happened with
care
him as the
about
show went on, but then he just wasn't in it
And
anymore,
then
which was fine.
Leslie's first boyfriend in the show, he's
Justin?
played by some comedian.
He's played by Louis C.K. Dave, the cop.
I hate that character too.
Really?
I don't think he's funny.
Dave. I think he's funny.
I think he's just annoying. I don't hate him nearly as much as I hate Mark. But I'm like, the whole time he's there, I'm like, can we just like move on? The only episode that he's in that I didn't hate that he was there was when after Ben was there and him and Ben were in the same place. 'Cause I was like,
yeah.
Why was she ever dating him? This doesn't make any sense whatsoever for her character.
I thought it was funny. I liked that character.
I can't stand him.
I was entertained by that character when he was.
Then we have characters that I thought I would hate, but for some reason I love them. What the siblings, the twins.
The twins.
Are they not twins? The brother and sister. They sing all the time.
In Parks and Rec?
Yeah. You'll know it as soon as you think of it, and you'll be like, oh, how come I didn't think of that?
The brother and what?
Yeah. The annoying one.
Oh, John Ralphio
See, there you
and
go.
Mona Lisa. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I would absolutely hate them.
They drive me up the wall, but I for some reason still love them.
Yeah, same. I
don't know why.
And then of like the main cast, the only people that I dislike is Tommy.
Tom. That's fair.
Tom.
Tom
just
has a lot of character growth throughout the show, but he's just obnoxious the whole time.
But he takes a long time for me to not just hate every time he's on the screen.
That's fair.
And like, because he spends most of the time whining or
being a douchebag is a good
being
way to
a
put
jerk.
it.
Yeah.
Speaking
of which,
agree.
I hate the douche.
The douche.
Oh my goodness, I can't. Like
I think it's funny what they did with that character because he's like
he's not that person
like
outside of his radio show.
Right. He's like a dude who has like a
persona.
It might have been a law degree or whatever, but then like half the time he's just the douche. And it's so funny
because he makes money doing it.
Right.
And I think the bit in the show was he's just gonna do it as like a joke for a friend.
Yeah,
or
his real name is Howard in the show.
Yeah.
Like,
but then he has that persona, and I can't. I literally, when I watch the show, consider just skipping any scene. At the moment I see his face, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch a different episode now.
Right.
Because I hate it so much.
Yep. But yeah.
And then poor Larry, Gary, Jerry.
They wrote that character so well, and then they're like, yeah, he's gonna be the nicest guy ever, and everyone's gonna hate him for some reason. I just
realized we're at 58 minutes.
We are. Let's go ahead and
we're gonna talk about my.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get through your number one.
You might know what it is if you had to guess. It's comedy.
It's comedy.
It's a sitcom.
Oh, it's Mad About You.
Mad About You.
Yep, Mad About You.
I absolutely loved that show. That was a show I just watched because it was in my Amazon recommendation, and it says, because you like the Dick Van Dyke Show or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. And I absolutely love that show. I love the characters. They have the absolute best dog on television. Murray is the best. I want Murray. I wish Murray could have lived forever. Rest in peace. Maui. His real name was Maui. That was the dog's name.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, Maui was Murray.
That's great.
He was a good dog.
Good dog.
And the show, I love the characters. I love, like, they have a whole growth throughout the show, which I won't go into because you haven't finished it yet.
That's true. We need to watch the rest of that show.
We do. And, you know, I could talk about that show, like, forever if you knew the rest of it. But you've only seen, like,
need to watch
2.5 seasons.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that happens later on.
Fair
but
enough.
their cousin, Splinky.
Splinky?
That's what he calls him. That's, like, he always calls him Splinky, which they explain later on. And you'll think it's hilarious when you find out
Talking
why.
about Ira?
Yeah. He calls him Splinky. Paul calls him Splinky all the time.
Okay.
But yeah, those are our 5 favorite shows approximately.
5
for me.
favorite shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're a little bit over an hour now.
But that's okay. Last week was, I think, an hour and 5. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
if
we're
I had known
fine.
that, I wouldn't have rushed that.
No, we're doing fine. But yeah. So.
Mad About You is about. It's about a married couple in New York. They're like the show starts like 3 months into their marriage.
Right.
So like they're not brand new married, but they're like just figuring life out together. And that's the whole show, is them figuring out how to be married.
Yeah, I think they've been married about 2 years when the show starts.
No. They've been married. I just said that they've been married for 3 months when the show starts.
You know, for some reason that
I just said this. He doesn't listen to me, guys.
I wasn't listening. I was listening, but like
those of you who have his number,
you
should text him and tell him to listen to me more.
Some
or
people
call
will.
him. They probably will.
Yeah.
I think it'll be funny. I think it'll be funny if Christian tells you that. Anyway, yeah. So they're 3 months into their marriage, and there's everything about the show. I love it.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, it'll be like mildly inappropriate, like literally nothing compared to what is on TV nowadays.
Probably less so than like Parks and Rec or 9-9 though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And even those aren't really bad.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I mean, because there's like a couple episodes, or at least one episode in a strip club in Parks and Rec. But
Yeah,
things are blurred out. But,
but
no, they don't do anything like that. And, Mad About You. And it's just, they randomly changed the theme song.
Oh, do they really?
Like, yeah.
That's
so they have
funny.
like different people perform it. It's like a different mix. It might be, there's different times it's in a different key.
Okay.
There's just like different versions of it, different recordings throughout.
It's kind of like what they do for Community.
Well, yeah,
Community it's usually thematic, but
it's randomly throughout the show. Like you might watch one episode, it's one way. Watch the next episode, it's a different one. And the third episode's back to the first one.
Yeah.
And there's a fourth one after that, or whatever.
That's
or a third
great.
one. It's just.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's a good show.
It's a good show. It's got laugh tracks, but I can look past it for Mad About You. But
well, it doesn't have laugh tracks. It was recorded live.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
So it's not technically laugh tracks.
Right.
It's the reason laugh tracks exist is shows like that, because people got used to that being in comedies.
Yep.
And so they're like, when it wasn't, they're like, well, now it feels like a drama.
Right.
That was the only reason laugh tracks exist is psychological manipulation.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with.
No, you're not.
Well I'm okay with laugh tracks is what I mean.
Well, yeah. Do we do our rock paper scissors bit that we started last week?
Yes.
See who does the outro of the podcast?
All right.
Ready?
I don't remember. Is it whoever wins ends?
Whoever wins does the outro of the podcast. All right.
Ready?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right, you got me with rock.
All right, ready?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, you got me.
I got you. It comes down to the third one.
It does. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Ah, I got it. Man, that's 2 weeks in a row for me.
Dirty rap.
I'm on a roll. I'm notoriously good at rock, paper, scissors, so not to brag, but...
Is that bragging?
Huh?
Is that bragging? It's kind of
Maybe.
a game of chance to an extent. But
I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional at rock, paper, scissors. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to episode 3 of the Traffic Barrel podcast. We managed to stay on topic for, we had side tangents kind of, but we, stayed on a single thing for the whole episode. And that hasn't happened yet, so that's kind of impressive. Thanks for listening to this episode. Tune in next week. Saturday, we'll have another episode out for you. Thank you so much for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all those things that people tell you to do on the internet every time you watch or listen to anything. And thanks for watching. See you next week.
Adios.
Oh, do you think that? All right, so I'll hit record, and I'll just say, I'm Luke McAvoy, and you'll say, I'm Tate Morris. And then together we'll say, you're listening to the Traffic Barrel Podcast.
You're listening to the Traffic Barrel Podcast. Like
Let's-
that? Or
yeah.
how do you want to say it?
Sure, that works. It doesn't really matter.
You're
that
listening
much.
to the Traffic... Okay.
I mean, yeah, okay. Let's practice it real quick. So, I'm Luke McAvoy,
And I'm Tate Morris.
and you're listening to the Traffic Barrel Podcast. Probably not the little break there. That was, yeah. Let's
Okay.
just...
Without the break.
Yes, without a little
Let's
break.
try one more time.
I'm Luke McAvoy,
And I'm Tate Morris.
and you're listening to the Traffic Barrel Podcast.
We did it.
We did it. That'll be great.
We did it. Good job.
Heck yeah. Okay.
LaCroix, Coca-Cola, Tate.